It feels strange to say this, but in another life, a life I once lived and lost, my sister and I shared the same wedding day. She married the richest man in our village. I married a college student, a man full of dreams but no wealth. At the time, it seemed like she had chosen wisely, but fate plays cruel games. After our weddings, my husband rose steadily in the ranks of government. From a fresh graduate to a respected official, he built his success from the ground up. But my sister's husband, he grew even richer. Eventually, one of the wealthiest men in the country. And just like that, he left her. Traded her in for someone younger, prettier, more valuable in his eyes. Her second husband was no better. A desperate man with no job. When layoffs came, he forced her into prostitution. That's where her body broke. That's when her soul did too. I remember visiting her. She looked so thin, hollowed out. When I handed her water, I didn't know it would be the last sip I'd ever take. It was poisoned, a mix of jealousy, resentment, and maybe guilt. But instead of death, I woke up again. And the day I woke into was our wedding day. All over again. Only this time, the roles were different. She must have remembered too. I could see it in her eyes. This time, she didn't choose the rich man. She chose Mark, the man I was supposed to marry. Maybe she thought, if she stole him now, she'd rewrite her future. But instead, she destroyed her own. Fireworks crackled outside, joy echoing through the village. Inside the house, a commotion erupted. Dozens of guests rushed into Chloe's bridal room, only to freeze in shock. On the wedding bed, two bodies, exposed, shameless, lay tangled in the sheets. My sister, and my fiancé, Mark. Whispers spread like wildfire. My mother screamed, "Chloe, are you out of your mind? On your wedding day?" Chloe sat up slowly, her face flushed, but her eyes, they weren't embarrassed. They looked satisfied. She dropped to her knees and cried out, "Mom, don't hit me! Mark and I are truly in love. I can't marry Sam. Please, let me marry Mark instead." Mark stayed silent, feigning sleep as he pulled the sheets over his face. But everyone had seen enough. My mother was furious. "He belongs to your sister, Chloe." Chloe didn't flinch. "But I've already slept with him. Everyone saw. If I can't marry him, I'll jump into the river." Outside, someone rushed in. "The groom's family is 2 streets away." Panic, confusion, shame. And then Chloe turned to me. "Just let Anna marry him instead," she said casually, like swapping husbands was as simple as switching shoes. In that moment, I understood. She remembered too. We were both reborn, both given another chance. But Chloe, she hadn't changed at all. Everyone was watching me, waiting for tears, for outrage, for a broken heart. But instead, I picked up Chloe's wedding dress, the one she had so carelessly thrown aside, and calmly said, "I'll marry him." No one spoke, not because they agreed, but because no one had the right to disagree. Sam, the man Chloe had rejected in this life, was now mine. He ran a small clothing business, often traveling south. The kind of man who wasn't home much, didn't speak softly, didn't pretend to care. That night, after the rushed wedding, he came into the room smelling of sweat and alcohol. He didn't touch me. Instead, he pulled out a bag and dropped a stack of bills on the table, 500 yuan, more than my entire family used in a month. "For the household," he said flatly. "Take care of my mom and sister. I'll be gone by morning." He turned to leave. Something in me stirred. "Sam," I said. He paused. "Is it not enough?" I shook my head, then hesitated. Walked to the corner and pulled out a small jar of herbal balm, a leftover from my dowry. "It rains a lot in the south," I murmured. "You'll need this, in case of rashes." His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes did. He took the balm wordlessly, stared at it for a moment, then asked, "Anything else?" "Can I buy some books?" I asked, unsure if I was even allowed to ask. He nodded once. "Use it however you want." I didn't know what surprised me more, the money or the freedom. The next morning, I cleaned the house from top to bottom. I cooked, I organized, I breathed, and then, I went to town. The smell of books hit me like a long-lost memory. I bought textbooks, full sets, and just before I left, the shopkeeper slipped in a translation of Don Quixote for free. I laughed softly. It felt like a strange joke from the universe. When I returned, Sam's mother was in the living room, sipping water quietly. She glanced at the book in my hands, paused. There was something in her eyes. Hunger, longing, wonder. Without thinking, I offered the book. You can have it if you want. Her reaction stunned me. She began to cry, silent, shaking sobs. Before I could ask what I'd done wrong, a sharp voice cut through the room. What did you do to my mom? A girl, hair oily, clothes wrinkled, stormed in. Sam's younger sister, Laura. She shoved me aside protectively. You bully her, and I'll... But her mother whispered something that froze us both. She spoke. Words. Actual, trembling words. I just got emotional, she said. Laura's eyes filled with tears. Mom, you can talk? And that's when the truth spilled out. Sam's mother wasn't mute. She had simply stopped speaking, chose silence over judgment. Books were her only joy, her only refuge, and no one, not even her children, had understood that. Until now. That night, the house felt different. Something quiet had shifted. Laura and I sat at the table with her mother, no longer the ghost of a woman she had once seemed. She flipped gently through the pages of Don Quixote, her fingers tracing the words like they were sacred. I didn't speak. Neither did Laura. We simply watched her and let her exist. Later, she looked up and asked, timidly, if I could help her make a list of books she'd always wanted to read. That night, we didn't sleep until she had filled a full sheet. The next morning, Laura and I returned to town and bought every book we could find. We walked home slowly, arms full, laughing for the first time. And that's when I noticed it. Laura, glancing repeatedly into a bookstore window. Inside stood a young man, tall, composed, sorting books with care. You like him, don't you? I teased, my voice light. Her face flushed crimson. It's none of your business, she snapped, but not with anger, with embarrassment. The morning of our entrance exam felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, terrifying, hopeful, surreal. Laura's hands were cold with nerves. I reached over, squeezed them, and said softly, You've already won, Laura. Just walk in and finish it. She gave me a shaky smile and walked through those doors like someone who finally believed in herself. When our results came in, both our names were on the admission list of a top university. Laura collapsed into my arms, sobbing. I never thought this life could be mine, she whispered. Sister-in-law, without you, I'd still be in that tiny room, afraid of my own shadow. I hugged her tightly, resting my chin on her shoulder. She had no idea how much her growth healed me too. As we settled into our first year of college life, Sam's business took off like wildfire. The clothing factory became a hit. Then the properties I had purchased, their value tripled. Investors came knocking. Media started calling him a new age entrepreneur. Soon, Sam became the wealthiest man in the city, the same title Chloe's first husband once held in our past life. But this time, it was different. There was no arrogance in Sam's success, no greed, no need to trade people for profit. When I came home for summer break, he picked me up at the station himself, suit pressed, sleeves rolled, holding my favorite drink in hand like he'd been waiting forever. Before I could greet him, a figure stepped out of the shadows. Chloe. I almost didn't recognize her. Her once glowing skin was pale, her frame thin, her arms, bruised, half covered by sleeves. But her eyes, they were what haunted me. Gone was the vanity. Gone was the sparkle. Only fear remained. She stepped forward and grabbed my wrist. Anna, she whispered, trembling. You were reborn, weren't you? The words slammed into me like a crashing wave. I stared at her, frozen. I know you were, she said. You knew exactly who to marry, what to invest in, how to handle Sam. You knew everything. She fell to her knees on the concrete. Sister, help me. Those two words. Help me. They echoed in my bones, the same bones she tried to bury in a past life. "I can't save you, Chloe. Not again." She panicked. "No, no, please. You swapped lives with me. You owe me." I froze. "What did you say?" "You stole my life," she hissed. "The cars, the villa, the designer clothes, they were meant for me." I stared at her, this shattered version of my sister, and for a moment I saw the little girl she used to be. But then I remembered the poisoned glass in my hand, the smug smile as my body collapsed, and I let go of the last piece of pity I had. Chloe's eyes sharpened. When pity failed, she turned to threats. "If you don't help me, I'll go to the police," she said. "Tell them about Sam's past." My heart skipped. "What past?" She smirked. "Smuggling. When he first started his business, he moved things he wasn't supposed to." She claimed that back in our previous life, Sam had already covered his tracks. But if she exposed him now, at the height of his rise, he could be ruined. I didn't know if she was bluffing, but I couldn't take the risk, so I told her, "If you want Mark to leave you, there's only one way. Report the body buried under the pimantry tree in his family yard." Her eyes widened. She hadn't expected that. But instead of going to the police, she went straight to Mark. 2 days later, Chloe showed up at my door, her face pale and urgent. "Mom's in the hospital," she gasped. "It's serious. You have to come. Now." Without hesitation, I grabbed my bag and followed her. It wasn't until we turned off the main road that the unease crept in, the way the buildings faded into trees, the way the road narrowed into gravel. "This isn't the hospital," I said, my voice tightening. Chloe didn't look at me. Her hands trembled on the steering wheel. "I'm sorry, Anna." That's all she said. When we stopped, we were in front of a small, run-down cabin, forgotten by time, swallowed by weeds. The door creaked open. Mark stepped out. His face was exactly as I remembered it before he hit me the first time in our past life, smiling, almost polite. But his eyes, they were death. Mark dragged me out of the car before I could scream, shoved me into the cabin, slammed the door shut. Inside, tools hung from the wall like executioners waiting their turn. "How do you know about the body?" he snarled, grabbing my face. I don't," I stammered, fear clawing up my spine. But it didn't matter. "You weren't supposed to know, but now that you do..." He pulled out a rope. My knees gave way. I realized then, I had been here before. Not this cabin, but this feeling, this helplessness. In my past life, it had ended with betrayal, with poison, with regret. But not this time, because this time I had told Laura. And Laura had told Sam. The door burst open with a thunderous crack. Men poured in, uniformed, armed, efficient. Mark barely had time to react. He was pinned to the floor in seconds, a shadow of the tyrant he thought he was. And behind them all, Sam. He didn't say a word at first, just walked toward me. I was on the floor, shaking, eyes wild with fear. He knelt and pulled me into his arms. "I'm sorry I was late," he whispered. I buried my face in his shoulder, sobbing uncontrollably. "No," I choked. "You were right on time." Mark screamed as they dragged him away, like a trapped animal cornered by fate. "You can't do this to me," he roared at Sam. "My father, he has connections. You'll regret this." Sam didn't even flinch. He walked over calmly, grabbed Mark by the collar, and slammed his head against the wall. Sam's voice was low but deadly. "Your father? He's already in custody. The police found the body. You're not Mark. You're a fraud, a thief, a murderer." As Mark was taken away, Chloe tried to slip out, but Sam's men were faster. She was grabbed before she could reach the car. She twisted in their grip, sobbing, her voice growing shrill. "Sam! Sam! You loved me once! Don't let them take me! I was supposed to marry you!" Sam turned slowly. His expression? Pure disgust. "Loved you?" he said. "You drugged me, framed your own sister, and now you want mercy?" She dropped to her knees, clinging to his leg like a beggar. "I'll change. I'll take care of your mother. I'll be the wife you deserve." Sam yanked his leg free like something filthy had touched him. "There's only one woman I'll ever call my wife," he said firmly. And then he turned to me. "Anna." Sam then gently led me back to his car and drove me home. The entire way, his face was tense, his jaw clenched tightly. When we arrived, I reached for the door, but he suddenly scooped me into his arms and carried me inside. One of his friends who had helped with the rescue teased him playfully, but I buried my face in Sam's chest, overwhelmed. Inside, he gently placed me on the bed. For a moment, he hovered above me, not making any move, just staring into my eyes. His voice was low when he finally spoke. "Anna, what's really going on here?" Chloe's words, the threats, the pressure, they all crashed back into my mind. I sat up slowly, took a breath, and told him everything. About the past life, about the rebirth, about the betrayal that killed me once, and about how I'd chosen to live differently this time. Sam listened in complete silence, and by the end, I lowered my gaze. "I know it sounds like a fantasy. You don't have to believe me." He pulled me into a tight embrace. I felt him trembling. "How dare she hurt you like that twice?" he muttered through gritted teeth. "In this life, I won't let anyone touch a hair on your head. Ever." Later, Sam distanced himself entirely from Sarah and retrieved the funds he had placed in her care. He handed the responsibility to me. I was hesitant, but he said, "You're my wife. Who else should I trust?" I remembered the capital's housing boom and encouraged Sam to invest. We went on a university tour with Laura, and I quietly bought more properties. Meanwhile, Sam expanded his factory and began laying the groundwork for a real estate company. His empire grew. My exams approached, but my family didn't stop interfering. They pressured me to have a child. They said Sam's success was enough. I didn't need dreams, but I'd come too far. I re-enrolled in school with Laura, ignoring their disapproval. Meanwhile, Chloe's marriage with Mark disintegrated. The physical abuse escalated. She begged me to help her. She knew about the body, but didn't report it. She betrayed me again, and nearly got me killed. After the arrest, the truth about Mark's identity and past crimes surfaced. Sam had already arranged for his father's capture. Chloe, panicked, clung to Sam in desperation. He shoved her away with visible disgust. As police took Chloe away, she screamed, "You used to love me. We're not legally married, right? I can still take care of your family." Sam said coldly, "Get lost. You were the one who threw me away. Anna is my only wife." We returned home. I felt safe again, but Sam still looked worried. He suddenly picked me up and carried me straight to bed. When I asked him what he was doing, he said, "Making sure you never forget you're mine." I laughed. It was the first time in a while I truly felt happy. Soon after, Mark died in prison. The official report said it was an accident, but I suspected Sam had contacted someone inside. When I asked, Sam simply smiled. "I'm a law-abiding citizen." Chloe was released some months later, mentally broken. She rambled to herself, disconnected from reality. Our family admitted her to a psychiatric hospital. She sent word, begging me to visit. I didn't respond. Days later, she jumped from the window. They said her final words were, "Let's do it again. Let's do it again." Life slowly returned to peace. Laura and I graduated. I entered a graduate program. Sam accompanied me to campus on enrollment day, dressed like a proud father on his child's first day of school. Later that year, we had our first child. Laura married her college sweetheart and became a civil servant. But the biggest surprise came from Sam's mother, the quiet woman who once never spoke. At 50, she published her first novel, and it became a hit. This Life. It was as dazzling as the last one was dark. But the difference wasn't luck. It was choice. This time, I chose to protect myself, and I chose the people who truly loved me.